Structure and then put A Christmas Carol. Right, so structure. What is structure? This is what we did last lesson. Who can tell me what structure is? If you're going to talk about the word structure in one word, what would you say? Yeah?
The organisation.
Oh, nice. And do you know what? One of my students in my last class, I thought organisation and they said order. And both of those are right. So order may give you an idea that things follow on from one thing to the other. So that's really good. A Christmas Carol, structure.
Yeah.
Title. Right, okay, so chronological order. What does chronological order mean? Yeah, Elise.
Something that happens like in sequence of events, like in time.
Very good. So chronological order is something that happens in a sequence of events in time. You get up, you go to school, you come home. Okay, so non-chronological order is when things jump about in terms of time. And obviously, that's what happens in A Christmas Carol. So what kind of effects does he use in A Christmas Carol? Does he use chronological time? No. Okay. Yes, it keeps jumping backwards and forwards. Right, so why he doesn't use chapters. So I'm not going to tell you to copy these things down. I'll copy this down, copy that down. You're big boys and girls now. You choose what you need to write because some of these things are important. What does he use instead of chapters? Staves. Very good. He uses staves. Anyone know where staves come from?
Poems.
Not poems, nearly. Are part of the structure of things like carols. Okay, so musical. Songs that are popular at Christmas time. Everyone knows that. What's your favourite carol? Anyone got a favourite carol? I like Ding Dong Merry on High. Everyone loves Oh Little Town of Bethlehem. Away in a Manger. Yeah? Come on, that's got to be a favourite.
What's a donkey one?
Little Donkey on the Dusty Road.
Yeah.
Okay. I am an encyclopedia on carols. Right, so carols, so again, copy down things that you might need. All right, so they are associated with themes to do with the Christmas Carol. And the structure of Dickens's novella uses a similar structure to a song. All right, in the fact that it has these staves. Now, this is when we start seeing the interlinking between A Christmas Carol and A Tale of Transformation. So, do you think that A Christmas Carol is about time travel? Right, I had a really good argument with the class last time. Who says no? Who doesn't think it's about time travel? Okay, Leah, why do you not think it's about time travel?
Well, you can have a dream, go into the future or the past, and it's not time travel. You're just imagining. He's not physically there. Or metaphorically.
Oh, nice. But is time used as a technique? The playing around with time.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it linear? Is it chronological? No. Okay. So I want you to write this down, okay? Because this is really important. Time is used by Dickens as a technique to aid Scrooge's redemption. So time is used by Dickens as a technique to aid Scrooge's redemption. Sorry, tell me something that does happen chronologically. Because the whole thing is kind of chronological in the fact that what's he like at the start?
Me.
And what's he like at the end?
Good.
Right, so that is chronological. Yeah, the character starts. So, but what happens in the three spirits that come to him? Is that chronological? No. No. It's not, because he uses time, although it's not about time travel. He does use time, bong bong bong, and he uses things in order for effect. So you've got the three ghosts, okay, and the structure of the three ghosts shows the past, the present, and the future. All right, very similar to fairy stories or religious tales. 3 is the magic number. Okay, so here we go. I want you to talk to the person next to you, and I want you to come up with the places where the ghost of Christmas past takes Scrooge, and in what order and why. So this is the ghost that looks like a what, Liam? Candle, and he's flickering all over the place. Why is he doing that? What does the light represent? Very good. The light on Scrooge's past. It's like a spotlight to show the light on Scrooge's past and to show him the truth. And this candle has got like one arm, then 20 arms, and he's old and he's young, and he's got holly and summer flowers. So he's just this thing that's like old and new together. All right. So I want you to think about the places where Scrooge is taken by this ghost of Christmas past. Put them in order and why. Okay, so I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do that. You should be able to go ding, ding, ding. I know it.
Does he go to his house?
Where's the first place it goes to? Yeah, to school when he is, well, he's like 9 years old. He's young. And what is he doing?
Studying when all his friends. Well, he has no friends. Well, all the others
Go home to Christmas.
Yeah.
Do you have to write all of that? Just put, well, there's 2 places in school, because then the next time he thinks somewhere else, isn't he? We're going to go through the whole book, so...
Go to his house where his dad kills a little rat.
What?
You know, like, I swear, his father kills the rat to get, like, that piece of fabric. What universe are they? Surely.
I think it's...
Are you sure your dad didn't do that?
I swear.
Come on, you need to know where these things are.
Wait.
No,
No,
did you see his sister?
wasn't his dad bankrupt? And then the rat.
Don't get mistaken with the Muppets Christmas Carol, which is what I think you're doing.
No, but on the Muppets they would show a guy killing a rat, would they?
But it's not in the book. Okay, lovely. Right. Let's go through this. I'm going to ask you questions. What you need to do is you need to make notes, because this is all about the order and the organisation. So the ghost, all the candle little ghost, where does he take him first of all? Solly.
The school.
To the school, right. The first place he takes him to is his school. And old Scrooge sees young Scrooge. Ellie, what is young Scrooge doing? Yeah, he is by himself in the school because he has no friends. All his friends have gone home, but his father won't allow him to go home. So old Scrooge looks at young Scrooge, and old Scrooge has a little tear in his eye. Ellie, why do we get this immediately, that this is what Scrooge's childhood was like? Why is that the first thing we understand about Scrooge? What does it show about our understanding of him as an old man? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he was alone. He was alone, wasn't he? And so that's probably why he is so mean and nasty. Right, Micawai, the next place he goes is actually in the school, but what happens? Yes, so it's a couple of years later. He's a little bit older, and his sister comes. Anyone know what his sister's called? No? Fan. Fanny Scrooge. Fanny Scrooge. So Fan comes, and she says, "Oh, brother, Father is really happy, and he's let you come home." Okay, so that shows that. What does that show, and what does it also reinforce, Micawai? Who is old Scrooge's only relative? No. Yes. Who is Fan's son? So it reinforces the idea that he loved Fred's mother, but she died.
How did she go?
Oh, I don't know. They were always dying, weren't they? It's like consumption or something. Right, Violet, where does he go after that? Yes, Fezziwig's party. Very good. So Fezziwig's party. And it's all joyful and bright and everything's really happy, and old Scrooge is like, oh, Fezziwig, and he's talking about spending money. Can you remember what old Scrooge talks about in terms of spending money? Because remember, old Scrooge does not spend any money on his workers. He won't let Bob Cratchit have any more coal. Ellie, yeah. It's something about what Fezziwig did and what he spent his money on. Yeah, and it made the people happy. Yeah. So Fezziwig spent all of his money, or spent a lot of money on parties. And what old Scrooge is saying is like, oh, well, there's no financial gain to having a party apart from making your workers happy. And it kind of makes him think, whoa, hang on a minute. You know, this is all about Scrooge going in his head, right? Oh, I can remember now how good it was being young and having a good boss. Maybe I can be a good boss. Right, Dom, where did he go after that? No, something with someone else. Belle.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what's happening with Belle? Yeah, very good. Right, now, so then he has this very important bit where he fell in love with money. And so what you can see is you can see the change, because Scrooge at Fezziwig's party, young Scrooge at Fezziwig's party was really happy. And then young Scrooge with Belle was starting to become real cold and a miser. And she says, another what has replaced me? Another, anyone know, remember that quote? Another idol has replaced me. So she's talking about gold and money, all right? And so it shows that she is letting him go because she knows that he doesn't really want to marry her because he'd rather chase the money. And then the ghost takes, this is the bit that people forget, where does the ghost then take Scrooge? Oh, did he Belle now? Yeah, very good. He takes him to Belle being older and Belle sitting with her children. All right, so this bit is when things go like that. All right, and he's taking him somewhere where his old girlfriend is there and she's sitting with her children and all of her children are there, and then her husband comes home and it's a lovely family. And can anyone remember the really important quote that he says about the children? Anyone remember that? He says something about a real man knows the worth of a child. All right. And this is teaching Scrooge, and Scrooge is like, oh, why do you delight in torturing me? Because it shows that Scrooge realizes that he has chased money, whereas he should have been happy with his children. Everyone know that. What is it also reinforcing about Belle? Zach, what's it reinforcing about Belle? Yeah, very good. She's done better without him. And because she put a family first, it shows that she has been rewarded because she is one of Charles Dickens's good people. She's got good Christian morals, that woman. Right. Okay, next one. This is the ghost of Christmas Present, the big fat one, the jolly green giant with long curly hair, a beard. Who is he representative of? No.
Who is it?
Well, they didn't have it there. It was like St. Nick, wasn't it? But also, who does he look a little bit like? Well, God's son. Jesus. Got the crown, got the curly hair, got the beard. That was all the rage in Nazareth. Come on. Know your biblical fashions. Yes, wanton ignorance. However, at the start, what is he sat on? A load of food. My class said the day that he was sat on wanton ignorance. I was like, no, he's not. They're not like holding up his fat bottom. Right, so he sat on a load of food. What is he representative of? What is this ghost representative of? Not greed. No. Plenty. All right. So he is representative of plenty. And the reason why he is representative of plenty is that he is showing that there is enough for everybody if people would just share. All right. Right, where does the ghost of Christmas present take Scrooge? Where does he fly him around?
Isn't it a lighthouse?
Yeah, so if you can come up with it and come up with it in order, because that's the whole point. You've got to come up with it in order. We're looking at organisation.
Yeah, lighthouse.
Then where does he take it first?
Yeah, they're all
Oh wait, do they go to see Time Tim? Yeah. My brain isn't that big.
And why does he take it there? You should be thinking about where he goes, but also why and what order. Out into the street. Oh yeah.
Like through a wall. Like there's a bar. And there's a metal bar. And we're like, nah. I would definitely. Oh, it probably is actually. Wow. Thanks, Barter. What is Miss, do you think I could beat up Jackson?
With one hand tied behind his back. Right, okay, here are the places where he takes them. Do remember where he takes them, in which order, and why. Jack, where do you think he takes them first? Nope. The street. The street. He takes that into London Street. Alright, and in London Street, it was very cold, the sky was gloomy, and it wasn't very nice. So it was really horrible. There was nothing very cheerful in the climate or the town, and yet there was an air of cheerfulness aboard. So what is he saying? Even if the weather's bad, what is he saying about having Christmas spirit in your heart? What will Christmas spirit do?
It'll warm you.
It'll warm you, yes. So then you have, if you have a look at this amazingly long description. And God hope you, I don't, if they gave you this one in the exam, that would be mean beyond mean. But it's this really long description of all the wonderful things that were on sale in London. All right, remember it's a Spanish onions, pears and apples clustered high, bunches of grapes. All right, so he's taking on, what he's showing is the contrast between the weather, which is horrible, but the joy that people have in their lives. And then he goes around, and all the poor people who didn't have cookers would go and get their meat cooked and their stuff. And then what does the ghost do?
Christmas spirit on them.
Yeah, he sprinkles Christmas spirit on them. All right, and Scrooge is like, what are you doing? And he says, is there a peculiar favour in what you sprinkle from your torch? Asked Scrooge. There is, my own. Would it apply to any kind of dinner on this day? Asked Scrooge. To any kindly given. To a poor one most. Why to a poor one most? Asked Scrooge. Because it needs it most. Oh yes, reinforcing the idea that the poor deserve your charity. Right, then, still in London, where does he go? Bob's house. Oh. All right. He goes to Bob's house. All right. So they live in a large family. Who are they waiting for? Bob and Tiny Tim. Yeah. And then they were. And what kind of happiness do they have? So even though they're poor, what kind of Christmas do they have? A good one. And they're like, oh, I never did see such a goose in my whole life. And they have like one mouthful of goose each. Oh, mother, it was the best goose I ever did see. All right, and they have like that teeny tiny little pudding, but they're all like wetting their pants with laughter because they're so happy. Martha comes home. What is it reinforcing about Charles Dickens as good people? Yeah, James.
You don't have to be rich to be happy.
You don't have to be rich to be happy. All you have to do is have God in your heart, and every day will be a rave. Okay? Right, then, after taking him there, reinforcing the idea that it is such a wonderful thing to have family, he takes them to 3 places. Now, this is another bit where you might not really, it's not a very sort of important part, but it is. He takes them to 3 places. Where are the 3 places? Yes.
The boat, the lighthouse, and then the mine.
Very good. He takes them to. The first place he takes them is the mine.
Right.
Okay. Then he takes them to a lighthouse, and then he takes them boat. Right. So the lighthouse, and they're all like, there's only 2 people in there, and they're away from their families. Then he takes them to the boat, which is on the seas, getting like overboard. And then what are the people like in the mine? Well, the miner and the people in the lighthouse and the sailors, what are they like? Singing. They're happy. So even in these god-awful places in Victorian London and Victorian England, which would be really horrible, they're really nice. So this is what he says. They stood behind, this is the one in the boat. The ghost sped on above the black and heaving sea. On and on until, being far away as he told Scrooge from any shore, they lighted on a ship. They stood beside the helmsman at the wheel and the lookout in the bow, the officer who had the watch, dark, ghostly figures. Oh, who's that? Who's that foreshadowing?
Yeah.
Dark, ghostly figures. But every man hummed a Christmas tune or had a Christmas thought or spoke below his breath of some bygone Christmas day. And every man on board, why do I always do a Cockney accent? Every man on board, waking or sleeping, good or bad, had a kinder word for another on that day than on any other day on the year. Oh, wouldn't you just look at that? Right, and then he takes them, goes back on land. So he's reinforcing this idea that even desperate people in difficult times can have Christmas in their heart and the day will be nicer. Then he takes them back to where? Fred's house, right? Fred's having a right old knees up. There's a little bit of Me Too action because there's a sex pest in there who won't leave the other girl alone. He's chasing around trying to kiss her. Skip over that bit. Then they're playing the game. All right, and they're like, "Ooh, who is it? Who is it? Who is it?" Then, so that's all fun and games, and they're all laughing about Scrooge, apart from Fred, who's like, "I always say hello to him. I always ask him to come. I always hope that he will one day." Then where do they go? This is the bit that my other class didn't really know. Where does the ghost of Christmas present take him? No, that's the next one. James.
Take him to his workplace.
No. This is the bit that he might not know.
So it feels like cold, sad house.
No. Okay. He takes him to lots of different places, and then he says they stood together in an open place. He noticed its hair was grey. So they're basically in this open place, and then London is spread all below them. Okay, and the ghost has started to turn grey and old. Why?
Oh, because he only lives that night.
He only lives for that night. Yeah, he only lives for Christmas Day.
So he take him to a clock.
No, don't confuse it with the film.
Okay.
Yes, and so that spirit like becomes old and dies basically, and then his brother becomes the next spirit of Christmas present, and the next spirit of Christmas present. Now, who can tell me? This is quite perceptive. Why do you think there's a new spirit every year of Christmas present? Why is it not the same one?
Because they're going through so much kind of thing in one go.
Also, what does it show about if you weren't very nice one Christmas?
You're not going to get a chance to it yet.
No. Can you? So it's the opposite. Because there's a new spirit of Christmas, you've always got the chance. Right, he's growing old and grey, and then something comes out of his want and yes. So he's like this. Oh, On it, it just says an open place. So I just think it's okay. And then he says, "Oh, it brought two." So he goes, "Woo!" And then there's the two children underneath him, like want and ignorance, looking all horrible and ragged and meagre and yellow and scowling. So why are these children so awful? Yeah, because children are meant to be like pure and innocent.
Is this in Christmas present?
Yeah, in the Christmas present. Right at the end, and we'll talk about what happens at the end. Right, so we have done this before, we've worked on this. Want and ignorance are portrayed as yellow, meagre, ragged, scowling wolfish. A graceful youth should have filled their features out and touched them with its freshest tints. A stale and shriveled hand had pinched and twisted them. So they're like this. You all right, Jenna? Yeah. Yeah. So they're kind of like this, and the reason why he makes them so awful is to show that want and ignorance should be their children, so they should be plump and well cared for and loved like Tiny Tim. And they say, Scrooge started back. Spirit, are they yours? Scrooge could say them no more. Right, this is important as well. They are man's, said the spirit, and they cling to me, appealing from their fathers. The boy is ignorance, the girl is want. Beware them both, and all of their degree, but most of all beware this boy. For on his brow I see that written is doom. Why do they say beware of the boy more than the girl? Ignorance and want. Come on. Which comes first?
One.
Ignorance. Right, so he says, beware of them both, but most of all, beware the boy, because ignorance causes want. So the ignorance of the rich Victorian readers causes the want of the poor. That's a really important thing. Ignorance is the boy. Now, it's really important that if you're going to be really perceptive, ignorance is the boy, want is the girl. Why? Why has he gendered them like that?
Because boys are more ignorant and girls more more.
Think about what kind of society there was at that time. Yeah, the men ruled society. It was a patriarchal society. And he says, and if you have a look beforehand, he says he was appealing from their fathers. Men made the rules. So it stands to reason that the boy would be more important, and the boy causes the girl's problems. All right. Oh, and then, woo! This is really nice. The spirit says, right, this. You know, when it's like a secular narrative when things go round and round. Are there no refuge or resource? Cried Scrooge. Are there no prisons? Said the spirit. Are there no workhouses? Repeating what he said. And Scrooge is like, yeah. Oh my God, I didn't. Like, you did. So, because by using the exact words that Scrooge says, is really important because it shows exactly how awful he was and how awful he had been. Okay? Why is it that this ends up in this horrible kind of dirty, horrible place for these horrible children? What does it then lead into?
I'm going to the grave.
Yes, and the ghost of Christmas yet to come. That shiny little cherub. Right, again, he takes him to these different places. Where does he take them, and in what order, and why? It's always reinforcing something.
Wait, this is the present.
Oh, sorry. So sorry. That should be the ghost of Christmas future. Sorry. And also, every single person in the whole world knows who's died, apart from Scrooge. And that's a technique. That's a sort of dramatic technique. Why does he do that? What's it showing? All right. So a couple of minutes to do that.
Does it go to trying to get?
Yeah, but not at the start. He goes, where's he taken first of all?
Oh yeah, the Richmond and we know about these amazing.
What? Where? What?
Like they're going to like a frozen lake. I don't know. I think it's the businessman and then the people who rent, were in debt with him, and then
Yeah. No. It ends with that one. Before it ends with the people in debt. Before.
Is it the stealers? Then the business.
No.
I don't know.
These cameras are amazing. They actually move themselves.
You live?
Yeah, I am live. Yeah.
Oh, they stopped, didn't they? And then the only things that want to get in there is like the rats and rats.
The rats and the cats.
The rats and the cats. I love that.
Thanks, Miss.
What?
So they love that. I said it. So that means you love me.
It really doesn't.
Oh,
Don't set her through my room. Right.
wow.
Okie dokie. So. Let's have a go. Daisy, do you know where the first place he gets taken is? So this is the ghost, and he's dressed up like death, and he's like, why doesn't he talk? Anyone know why he doesn't talk? Why does that make it more frightening? Because you don't know what he's actually. Yeah, because you're going to project your own thoughts onto it. Yes, Daisy, do you know the first place he goes? No. Anyone know where the first place is goes? No. The businessman. Right, it's really important you understand this. So, the first place he takes him to is the businessman. And the reason why this is important is because the businessmen were people that Scrooge valued. All right, so immediately they're kind of talking about Scrooge, and obviously Scrooge doesn't realise that they're talking about him, but everyone else does.
Oh, that's when they didn't care that he died.
They didn't care that he died, yeah, and they also say it's likely to be a very small funeral, and I'm only going if they actually do food. So immediately old Scrooge is thinking like, whoa, this person that they're talking about can't be very nice because these are good men of business. All right, and it's reinforcing the idea that if you put business above people, the people you do business with will likely do that as well. Okay, it is likely to be a very. Right, then where does he go? So that's in the good part of London, and all of these people who were supposed to like him don't like him. Then where does he go? Yeah. Yeah, the bad part of London. The really horrible part of London that Scrooge has never been to before, but he's heard bad things about it. And there, he talks about the fact of it being, who are the people that are there? Poor people. The poor people. Anyone know what the guy's called? Old Joe, yeah, well done. Old Joe. And does anyone know what the woman's called? Mrs. Dilber. All right, so and they're like, oh, Mrs. Dilber, what you got for me? She's like, oh, I stole it off his body. And they're laughing about him. And Mrs. Dilber's saying, if he'd been nicer in life, he would have had someone to look after him in his death. Just like that. If he would have kept them after he was dead, a wicked old screw, why wasn't he natural in his lifetime? All right. So why do you think they go from the rich people to the poor people and they're both laughing about him?
Show that everyone hates him.
Good. Very good, Leo. To show that everybody hates
Are they
him.
the people that stole?
Yeah, they stole the bed. They stole the curtains and they stole the shirt off his back. Open that bundle, old Joe. Let me know the value of it. Speak out plain. Yeah. All right, so Mrs. Dilber and the old people. Right, and then where does he go to? My favourite thing in the whole room, the whole thing. Where does he go? No.
Oh, it's a bedroom.
Yeah, his bedroom. Right. So the spirit takes him to his bedroom. Obviously, stupid old Scrooge doesn't realise that dead Scrooge is lying down, and it's covered with a sheet, and he wants to lift it up to see who it is, but he can't. And the reason why this happens is because the death of Scrooge is then compared to whose death, which comes Tiny Tim's. This is dark, this is light. He's left all alone. The family are like inviting him to join Christmas. The only people that want to see Scrooge dead are the rats and the cat, because they want to eat his eyeballs and his tongue and his lips. Maybe his earlobes. His liver. They'd have to get through his skin first, wouldn't they? And I bought
It's a torture thing, that.
What?
A cage with rats in it, and then they put fire on it. Yeah.
Oh,
What, the
dear. I
water
might
torture
do that.
as well,
That
isn't
people
Oh,
can
we
do their
knew strapped to
homework.
stone bed, and they let like a drip of water.
Yeah,
down
but it's
your head.
irregular, so then you like go mad, sort of like after
Yeah,
like
that
12
freaks
hours or
me
something.
And then they actually go one step even worse, and there's people who are celebrating his death. Who's that? Yeah, the people who owe him money. Oh, are we ruined? No, there is hope yet, Caroline. If he relents, there is. Nothing is past hope. He's past relenting, said her husband. He is dead. All right.
So, is it because they owe him money?
Yes.
Because they've been to the Cratchit.
No, they're the Cratchits after that. So the reason why that is so awful is that it's all right to talk about death if you don't really care about someone, but to actually celebrate death is something else entirely. All right, so they are actually celebrating the fact that he has died, and that must be the worst thing to know. Obviously, you're dead, so you wouldn't know. But if someone was like dancing around because you were dead, it's reinforcing the way that people think, and then they take him and says, "Let me see some tenderness connected with that," said Scrooge. And then where does he go? Cratchit. Yeah. My little child, my little child. All right. And if you're thinking about what the reader's thinking, the reader's going to be like, well, hang on a minute. Scrooge, who's a rich man of business, and I like business, no one likes him and no one cares. And then this horrible, poor old cripple Tiny Tim, everyone's like booing their hearts out. I better be a bit nicer. All right. And that's the sort of thing that he's actually trying to do. He's trying to show you that it doesn't matter how much money you have, what matters is that you're one of his good people. Right, where's the last place he takes him? Maisie, the last place that goes to Christmas yet to come takes him. His gravestone. Here then, the wretched man whose name had now to learn lay underneath the ground. It was a worthy place, walled in by houses, overrun by grass and weeds. The growth of vegetation's death, not life, choked up with too much. Right, this is interesting. The way that this graveyard is described is as a place where nobody goes and nobody cares. And whose graveyard does that compare to? Tiny Tim's. Because what did Bob Cratchit say? Very good. And they would go back there every Sunday. Yeah. A worthy place. The spirit stood among the graves, and he pointed down to the one. He advanced towards it, trembling. Bantam was exactly as it had been, but he dreaded what he saw. Before I draw near to that stone at which you point, said Scrooge, answer me one question. Are these the shadows of the things that will be, or are they the shadows of things that may be only? Blah, blah, blah. The spirit was as immovable as ever. Scrooge crept towards it as though I'm really nervous, trembling as he went, following the finger, read upon the stone of the neglected grave his own name, Ebenezer Scrooge. Am I the man who lay upon the bed? He cried, upon his knees. Why is he going down on his knees? What does that show? Forgiveness and mercy. Very good. Being down on your knees shows that he is praying. It is a very biblical, religious way of being. Oh, I can't get down on my knees. I won't get back up again. Oh, Spirit, no. The finger was still there. Spirit, he cried, touching at his road. Hear me, I'm not the man I was. I will not be the man I must have been, but for this intercourse. Why show me this if not past all hope? I will honour Christmas in my art and try and keep it all a year. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, yeah. One of my class said, what if he was lying? Right, and then, obviously, at the end, he's really, really happy. I will live in the past, the present, and the future, Scrooge repeated as he scrambled out of bed. I was like, the spirits of all three shall strive within me. Oh, Jacob Marley, heaven and all the Christmas time, he prays for this. I say it on my knees, oh, Jacob, on my knees. He was so flattered and so glowing with all his good intentions that his broken voice could scarcely answer to his call. He had been sobbing violently with his conflict in the spirit, and his face was wet with tears. So what you can see here, 100%, is the redemption. And the contrast between him on his knees, crying, and the black spirit like that. And then him being on his knees now in the bed and like crying with laughter and whooping, and I don't know what to do. I'm as light as a feather, I'm as happy as an angel, I'm as merry as a schoolboy. Woohoo! He had frisked into the sitting room. There you go. Right, so he's obviously really happy because he's been given the chance to redeem himself. Important word. Redeem himself, not just change, but change and make right what you did wrong. Okay. So, happy days. That's the end of the lesson. Well done with that. Next time we're going to be looking at structure with reference to the merchant. Okay? Right, pack away, don't put your books away. We don't have to. I just watch those videos. Watch Speak with Sonnet. I'll put that on.